Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. We need to talk about something deeply important, something that's not just a policy, but a lifeline, the silver alert. When we talk about a silver alert, we're not talking about a routine notification. We're talking about a moment where time compresses, where minutes carry the weight of hours, and where one misstep, one assumption can define the difference between someone returning home safely or not at all. The mistake most people make is believing that these alerts belong to someone else's world, someone else's crisis, someone else's responsibility. But when an older adult with cognitive impairment goes missing, the entire community becomes the safety net. And if we don't act collectively, the system fails. What makes this so urgent is that every disappearance follows a pattern: confusion, disorientation, wandering, vulnerability. These are not situations that can wait for morning, for convenience, or for someone else to notice. The data already shows us that nights are the most dangerous window. Darkness multiplies risks, exposure, accidents, disorientation, and yet, too often, people treat a silver alert like background noise, a notification they can swipe away, an announcement they can tune out. They don't realize that the alert they ignore might be the one moment they could intervene, simply by paying attention. The truth is that the human brain changes dramatically as cognitive decline progresses. A person who once navigated a neighborhood easily can suddenly misinterpret familiar streets as foreign territory. They aren't just lost, they are trapped in a moment where the world stops making sense. And this is exactly why the system exists: to turn everyday citizens into watchers, into helpers, into extensions of the family that is desperately searching. One alert can transform an entire highway, an entire city, into a network of eyes looking for one vulnerable soul. And here's the part people overlook. Silver alerts are remarkably effective when the public engages, when drivers read those highway signs, when neighbors recognize a description, when someone notices a car parked oddly or a person walking alone at an unusual hour. This system was built on the idea that technology and human attention can intersect to create safety, but that only happens if we take the alerts seriously. The deadly mistake, the one we absolutely cannot afford, is complacency. The belief that it's not urgent, the belief that someone else will look. If we're going to be honest with ourselves, we must acknowledge that silver alerts are not evenly implemented everywhere. Some regions have refined systems, rapid deployments, integration with digital signboards and mobile alerts. Others lag behind or still rely on older frameworks. And in a world where connectivity shapes outcomes, inequity in alert systems can cost lives. That's why public awareness matters. That's why pressure for better systems matters. This isn't a passive issue. It's a call for leadership from communities, from policymakers, from families, from every individual who understands that we have the technology and the intelligence to prevent tragedy. But beyond the systems, beyond the policies, there's something deeper: humanity. A silver alert isn't simply a broadcast, it's a signal of vulnerability. It's society being asked to protect someone who can no longer fully protect themselves. And there is something profoundly powerful about that. There is something deeply important about a collective response, a moment where we recognize that safety is not a private asset, it's a shared one. If you've ever loved someone who has aged, if you've ever watched memory slowly slip away, then you know exactly why this matters. You know the fear, the fragility, the uncertainty, and you know that action can't be delayed. When an alert goes out, it's not noise, it's a call, a reminder, a chance. The worst mistake would be to underestimate it. The most dangerous mistake would be to ignore it. When a silver alert goes out, it's not someone else's crisis, it's a universal warning that every family must absorb with the seriousness it deserves. Many people assume that missing seniors are a nursing home problem, or that it only affects those with very advanced dementia, but the reality is far more urgent and much more widespread. Wandering is an alarmingly common symptom in older adults with cognitive decline. Caregivers and experts estimate that 6 in 10 people with dementia will wander at least once, sometimes repeatedly. As USA plus one when they disappear, they often can't retrace their steps or articulate where they were going, and minutes become a dangerous commodity. Because of this, the Silver Alert system was created, a public notification infrastructure modeled on Amber Alerts, but specifically for vulnerable older adults and those with cognitive impairments. Connecticut General Assembly +2 Wikipedia +2, when activated, Silver Alerts utilize television, radio, electronic highway signs, and sometimes even reverse 911 systems to broadcast critical information about the missing person. Wikipedia +1 These alerts turn passive bystanders into urgent allies. Every driver, every commuter, every neighbor becomes a part of the rescue network. But here is the stark truth every family must hear. Silver Alerts are not uniform across the country. In many states, they exist. In others, they don't, and in some, the criteria to trigger an alert are so restrictive that many truly vulnerable individuals never get the system's protection. Advancing states. According to research, most existing programs require documented cognitive impairment or a specific age threshold before the alert can be activated. Advancing states. As a result, just because your state has a Silver Alert program doesn't guarantee timely coverage, or even that alerts will go out in every risky situation. Real-world data underscores both the strength and the fragility of this system. In Texas, an analysis of 548 Silver Alert activations involving 524 missing adults living with dementia revealed how many people are at risk and how often these alerts are used. PMC, the median age of those reported missing, was just 77, showing that it's not only the very elderly who wander. Despite the danger, data collection and reporting remain inconsistent, making it hard to evaluate how many alerts result in fines and how quickly. PubMed This lack of standardization carries a grave risk for families who assume their loved one is automatically protected. Without a fully developed Silver Alert infrastructure or without clear activation criteria, the alert may never be issued or issued too late. Worse, even where the systems exist, there is an ethical tension. When to broadcast someone's identity, how to balance dignity against urgency, and where the line is drawn between public safety and individual rights. PubMed +1 Yet, the potential upside is profound. In states where Silver Alerts work well, the recovery rates can be powerful. Community involvement, quick dissemination of identifying details, and strong coordination with law enforcement can bring missing seniors home. Elder Affairs. +1, but it depends on public attention, on rapid alert activation, and on the infrastructure being fully responsive. For every family, the real warning is this: don't wait until February or March, when a loved one slips out unnoticed, or dismiss the idea that they'll come back. Every moment of inaction magnifies risk. Ask hard questions. Does your state have a Silver Alert program? What are the activation criteria? Is local law enforcement fully trained and ready? Does your community understand how to respond? A Silver Alert is more than a sign on a highway or a message on the radio. It's a lifeline that depends on policy and on people. If we underestimate this system, if we treat it like background noise, we fail the very individuals it was created to protect. Every family must recognize the power, but also the limits of Silver Alerts, because in this case, being prepared, informed, and vocal doesn't just save time, it saves lives. When the Silver Alert system activates, it's a wake-up call that most people aren't fully hearing: a low-frequency alarm with a life or death signal. We tend to think missing seniors are someone else's problem, something that happens over there, and not to people we know. But that assumption is exactly what puts lives at risk. Vulnerability among older adults is real. Cognitive decline, memory loss, disorientation, these aren't distant issues. They are present dangers, waiting to spin a simple walk into a crisis. Yet, despite the seriousness, the reach of Silver Alerts is fragmented. Not every state has a program. In fact, some surveys show that only a portion of U.S. states have fully implemented alert systems for missing adults with cognitive impairments. Advancing states. Org+2 advancing states. Org+2 even where silver alerts do exist. The criteria for activating them vary wildly. OUP academic in some places. They require specific diagnoses, documented cognitive decline, or even proof of mental impairment. Connecticut General Assembly, the result is a glaring gap. People who desperately need protection because they are disoriented, confused, or unable to ask for help may never trigger the system meant to save them. That fragmentation is not just a bureaucratic inconvenience, it's a strategic vulnerability. These alert programs rely on the speed and scale of public response. When a silver alert goes out, it mobilizes not just law enforcement, but average citizens, drivers, communities. Silver Eco. Org+1 yet that mobilization only works if the program is simple, fast, and consistent. Where activation is delayed or conditional, the window to find someone vanishes. Time does not wait for paperwork confusion, and risk expand with every minute. The human cost of missing individuals with dementia or Alzheimer's is more than statistical. These people might wander into dangerous terrain, be unable to call for help, and even hide because they're frightened. UMass Chan Medical School, a missing older adult is not just a case number, it is a fragile life that may not survive long in the wild of memory loss. Without swift public involvement, the chances of a safe return shrink dramatically. Still, when silver alerts do operate effectively, the positive impact is very real. These systems can leverage existing media infrastructure, TV, radio, highway signs to spread critical descriptions, identification details, and the missing person's last known direction. Advancing states. Org+1 that collective reach matters because every extra pair of eyes, every vigilant driver, increases the probability of rescue. In those moments, the community becomes part of the safety net. But there's another layer here, not just rescue, but prevention. Registering vulnerable individuals in silver alert databases such as law enforcement registries can drastically reduce response time. UMass Chan Medical School, if police already have a reliable description, favorite haunts, car details, even nicknames, they can act decisively. Without that, they operate blind, and precious seconds are lost. One alarming reality is that alert fatigue can undermine even the best designed system. When alerts go off frequently, or when some are perceived as not urgent enough, people tune out. But missing seniors, those with cognitive decline, are not outliers. They are a growing demographic. As our population ages, the risk of someone wandering or becoming lost rises. Ignoring silver alerts now is not just negligent, it's strategically dangerous. Policymakers, families, communities, every stakeholder has a role. States that lack robust programs must push for activation legislation. Authorities must harmonize the criteria and ensure alerts are triggered quickly and fairly. But individuals must also stay aware, understand how your region's alert works, encourage caregivers to register their loved ones, and treat every silver alert as the urgent public safety call it truly is. Because this is not just about finding someone who wandered off, it's about recognizing that vulnerability isn't shameful, it's human, and failing to act, failing to treat this as a shared risk, is a mistake we will deeply regret when the price is someone's life. The Silver Alert System is not just another government program. It is a lifeline that many take for granted until it's too late. The one mistake that puts lives at risk is the belief that these alerts are someone else's problem. People assume that if a loved one goes missing, law enforcement will automatically find them, or that neighbors will notice. But the reality is far more complex. Silver alerts rely on speed, accuracy, and public engagement. Every minute matters when an older adult with cognitive impairment wanders into danger. Ignoring or underestimating the system doesn't just delay a response, it can turn a temporary disappearance into a tragedy. Older adults with dementia or Alzheimer's are particularly vulnerable because they can become disoriented in familiar environments. A short walk can transform into a perilous situation. A drive to the store can lead to lost roads and panic. Studies show that 6 out of 10 individuals with dementia will wander at least once, and many do so repeatedly. When they go missing, they often cannot retrace their steps or articulate their location. The silver alert exists to close that gap, to bridge the vulnerability with the collective attention of a community. It is a tool that transforms ordinary citizens into active participants in safety, but only if they recognize its importance and respond immediately. Despite its critical role, silver alerts are far from uniform. Not all states have implemented comprehensive programs, and even where they exist, activation criteria differ dramatically. Some states require documented cognitive impairment or a minimum age, while others have limited technological reach. The fragmentation of these systems means that a loved one in one state may benefit from immediate alerts, while a person in another might be left vulnerable. These inconsistencies expose a crucial blind spot. Assumptions that the system will always work are dangerous, and the cost of waiting can be measured in hours or even lives. The human impact of a delayed or ignored silver alert is profound. Missing older adults are exposed to accidents, harsh weather, and the natural perils of disorientation. They may enter traffic, wander into unsafe areas, or become frightened and hide from help. In a world where minutes determine outcomes, every delay in activation compounds risk. Families, communities, and law enforcement must all recognize that this is not a procedural matter. It is a race against time. Treating alerts as routine notifications is a fatal error. When silver alerts function correctly, their effectiveness is remarkable. They leverage television, radio, digital signage, and social media to broadcast key information, identifying features, last known locations, vehicles, even behavioral cues. This rapid dissemination transforms entire regions into vigilant networks capable of spotting a missing person quickly. Studies in states with mature silver alert programs show high recovery rates, underscoring the value of coordinated public response. Yet, effectiveness depends entirely on awareness, preparation, and willingness to act. Beyond immediate response, prevention is critical. Families and caregivers can register vulnerable individuals in local databases, ensuring law enforcement has accurate descriptions and essential details on hand. Technology, such as GPS tracking or wearable devices, can enhance monitoring, but these tools are only useful if the alert system is understood and engaged. Communities must see silver alerts not as optional or peripheral, but as a shared responsibility, a proactive measure rather than a reactive emergency. The most dangerous mistake is complacency, assuming someone else will notice, that law enforcement will find the person immediately, or that wandering is harmless. Ignoring the alert or failing to engage can have irreversible consequences. Every silver alert is a call to action, a reminder that safety is a collective endeavor. Recognizing the stakes, preparing, and responding quickly transforms a system of alerts into a mechanism of protection. In the end, this is not about bureaucracy or policy. It is about human lives and the urgent responsibility we have to protect those who are most vulnerable. The one mistake that puts lives at risk is underestimating that responsibility, and the cost of that error is far too high to ignore. Silver alerts are not just notifications. They are lifelines that demand attention, action, and respect from every one of us.